Hello, welcome to this learning platform. Today we will discuss something about morphology. Morphology is the topic is being taken from linguistics, and in English language we have various aspects to learn, like grammar, literature part, and it's English language teaching (ELT). So here we will study morphology. Morphology is the study of morph. As in linguistics, we study phonetics, we study phonology, we study social linguistics, we study psycholinguistics. So here we will just study the forms of the words. As we know, in English language, we have categorized each word like noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, and preposition, interjection, conjunction. Why some words are not being categorized like that? Question arises because when we study, suppose when you use past participle form of any word, for example, when we use walked, when we use talked, so we use ed in this word. Why there's no categorization for ed? Because this word, this ed has some function, and it should be categorization because it has proper function. When we use ed to talk, it becomes talked and it becomes the past form. So it should be studied. And some words, like we study suffixes, we study prefixes. What about s? When we add s to any word, like when we have to say stranger, when we have to say strangers, when we add s, it becomes plural. Why there is no categorization for this s? So this kind of questions are there. So under morphology, we will study, we will know thoroughly about each of this kind of doubt. Let me move further. Morphology. First of all, let me tell you morphology, the structure of this word. Morph plus ology. Morph means form of the words, and ology means study. Yes. Now the definition part. Morphology. Morphology is the study of forms. Morphology is the study of forms. As I have already stated, morphology is the branch of linguistics and one of the major components of grammar that studied word structure, especially in terms of morphemes. What is morpheme? Morpheme is the minimal unit of any language. As I have said, S, which has proper function, which can change the whole meaning of the word. So this is the minimal unit, of any language, of English language particularly. Adjective, if we use the adjective of this morphology, it becomes morphological. Okay. Now morphology is the study from other ones, some other scholars definition. Morphology is the study and description of word formation as inflection, derivation, and compounding in language. More, if we read this definition, morphology is the study of word formation of the structure of words. So if I conclude all these definitions, so all definitions are focusing on the main, uh, main idea. Idea is the morphology is just the study of the words, its forms, its combinations. So all these we are going to learn. Okay, let me go further. For example, careless, unhappy, teacher. What is this? Careless, unhappy, teacher. If I talk about less, what is this? This is morpheme. And this is changing the meaning of care. When somebody say care and when somebody say careless, it becomes just opposite of it. Hmm. Unhappy. It is also changing the meaning of happy. Unhappy. Teacher. Teach means to teach, and when we say teacher, it becomes a noun, common noun, and teach is a verb. So this way, under morphology, we will study different kinds of morphemes like less, un, So although these words are very small, very short words like er, un, but they have their proper meaning. They have their proper grammatical function as well. For example, morpheme. Morpheme is a minimal unit of meaning or grammatical function, as I have already stated. It is a meaningful linguistic unit, okay, consisting of a word such as man or word element such as ed invoked that cannot be divided into smaller meaningful parts. Let me clear you. Like this is word man. It can be separated. It can't be divided into two parts. It can be, but there will be no meaning of that. If I separate m from an, it will become m and n, but this will not make any sense. Same way, if I just walked, if I just take this word walked, and if I just separate ed from walk, it becomes ed, and there's no meaning of it. So same way, and it cannot be divided into two parts. Ed can't be divided into two parts. Walk, another word. So morpheme is the smallest unit, shortest unit, minimal unit. In other words, into that cannot be divided into two parts. Same way, it is the smallest morphological unit that cannot be divided into smaller parts, as I've stated. Now, in English, words like talks, talker, talked, talking must consist of one element, talk. For example, talk is the root word here. Okay, and ed, er, as, ing are the morphemes. Okay, root word is also called stem words under the morphology. So we will read it further. So here there are two morphemes, talk, and these are other morphemes as ed in talked, ing in talking. So there are two morphemes. One which is talk, another which is as, ed, ing. Okay. For example, it is given reopened. This is the word reopen, and which explains something, means again. Open means to be open or to be disclosed or to be which is not closed. Ed. Ed has nothing to do here. If we read it alone, there's a difference between re and ed. Although all three are morphemes, there are three morphemes. Re, which means something, open, which has something, meaning in itself. Ed, there is no meaning if we separate it from open. Further, we will categorize these morphemes. Like re is a different kind of morpheme and ed is another kind of morpheme. Okay. So minimal unit of meaning, again it is written there, minimal unit of meaning and minimal unit of grammatical function as well indicate past tense. Ed, when we add ed to any word, it becomes past form. Tourist, another example is tourist. Tour and tourist and as is as well. It is also changing the meaning of tour. Tour, what is tour? Tour is a noun, and tour a journey, and tourist a person, and as it makes it plural. So ist has also some grammatical function and as also some grammatical function. But we study tourist in three. There are three morphemes. How? Tour, ist, and you can see this as. I hope you got the point. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So here we have understood There are morphemes and different types of morphemes. So we will study types of morpheme now. Free morpheme, bound morpheme. Okay. As we can understand by this word only, this is free morpheme. Free means which is free, which is free to do something, which is free to speak, which is free to express. Anything might be the meaning of free here. And bound means which is bound and which is not free to do anything, to express anything. We will understood it. We will understand it. Now, free morphemes are morphemes that can stand by themselves as a single word. Are those which can stand alone as a word of a language. Free morphemes which are free to express their meaning. They are not bound to any another word. Like we say, free morphemes are those that can stand alone as words. They may be lexical morphemes. Lexical morpheme. Lexical related to word. Okay. Morphemes, the minimal unit of word, like serve, press. Serve and press has their proper meaning and there is no need to add anything in it. They can express their meaning alone. Okay, like some grammatical function morphemes like at and, although at is very short word, very small word, and is also, but they have their proper meaning and there's nothing to be added in these words. Okay, in English, uh, free morphemes can be identified as set of separate words formed such as basic nouns, adjectives, and verbs. For example, care, teach, help, above. It means these are the words which can't be separated, and these words, do not need any further classification or further addition of the words to be expressed. Okay, like care, it itself expresses its meaning. Teach itself expresses its meaning. Help and above all. Okay, now if I talk about bound morpheme, the difference between bound and free morpheme were those words which can stand alone and they have their proper meaning. But under bound morpheme are those morphemes that cannot stand normally alone and are typically attached to another form. Okay, like a bound morpheme is a morpheme that only appears as a part of a larger word. For example, those words like ed, as, ing, these words do not have their proper meaning, but they are added to another word. Then they have their meaning. Suppose ed alone, there is no meaning of ed or as or ing. Still they are alone. And when we add in some free morpheme like care, teach, okay, talk, then they will change the meaning of that particular word. For example, like earn, less, ed, ing, and. Okay, when we add these words like happy, unhappy, teacher, teach, teacher. I mean, when we add it becomes teacher. Careless. When we add less to care, it becomes careless. Like talked. When we add ed, this ed will change the meaning of this talk. It will become past form. Teaching, same way. So these were the types of morphemes, free morpheme, bound morpheme. Also, further in the coming classes we will learn uh, the further classification of free morpheme and bound morpheme, because they have some lexical morpheme, functional morphemes, which has further classification of these morphemes. So for the day, it is off from my side, and in the coming classes, we will learn more about these morphemes. So this was all about morphology, and only we have learned two types of morpheme today. That was free morpheme, and another was bound morpheme. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm going to close this video now. Thank you so much. Stop here and stop.